Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel CCUK Resin, and you'll have to excuse my voice if I sound a little bunged up. I've literally just got back from Turkey and from my vacation or holiday, as you can see, slightly browner, and I've come back with a bit of a cold, but do you know what? I got a delivery through from MoldsAndShapes and these amazing molds that I've ordered. I just couldn't resist doing a pour. And this one's going to be a bit different for me because I'm going to try and be a little bit intricate and delicate, which is very unlike me, but these molds are just absolutely perfection and beautiful quality molds. They cost a little bit more money, but do you know what? They are such quality, and hopefully I'll get to use them time and time again. Now, this is their gnome mold with 6 different gnomes, which you can put on the Christmas tree. And obviously Christmas isn't far away now, so I thought I'd have to start thinking about it. And I'm hoping with these little elevated ridges they've got, I can keep some colours separate before I put in a back filler layer, is the plan. So I've also realised I've not shown you what happens if you mix up a really thick, fast cure resin and put it in a debubbler. This is what happens, you get loads of micro bubbles, but I'm not worried about it for this project. So I'm going to be using the fast cure resin from Apex, and all I've mixed up so far is 3 ounces, and I'm going to separate it now into these different cups for the different colours based on what I think I'm going to need. Now, some of these I don't think I'm going to need a lot of colour at all, because I just want enough for this first initial layer to fill it up to that tiny ridge, which for me is going to be quite difficult to be delicate. But I think hopefully it will give us a really cool effect. So the main 2 I'm going to need most of this resin for is going to be the red and the white that I'm going to do. And I'm going to try and do all 6 of these exactly the same, because a lot of people I know with Christmas tree ornaments like to have some symmetry rather than having everything completely different. And the customer is usually right. So that's what I'm going to try anyway. And any spare resin that I've got from this will be going into a drip mold anyway, so nothing gets wasted. So I'm just separating it now so it's less risk of a flash cure. And then we're going to go ahead and mix up some colours, which I've already got picked, and then see if I can do it delicately enough that we can keep it separate in their individual parts of these moulds and get them all looking identical. Let me know in comments, do you think I'm going to be able to be delicate with my resin work? Most of you that watch the channel know I'm more of a chaotic artist, but again, check out MoldsAndShapes website. They have got some amazing Christmas molds. I've ordered a few myself, so we're going to be trying a couple of videos with those. This is the first of those, which is these amazing gnomes, but they've even got some druzy edge angel molds, which I've also ordered, and I'm going to be doing in a future video, so stay tuned for that. So, colours-wise, I'm thinking red for the hats, because that's very Christmassy. I'm thinking a sort of white for the beard. I've got a pinkish colour as well, which is this cherry blossom from Laura's Art Corner, which I think would be perfect for the nose. I'm going to do black glitter booties and then gold mittens, just to keep it Christmassy. So we need to mix up those colours and get everything ready. So I think that the least I'm going to need is probably going to be the pink for the noses. So again, I'm just going to get probably half a scoop of this cherry blossom in that amount of resin. And as you can see, it's quite a pink colour, but I thought that'd be perfect for these little gnome noses. And that's enough. That's pretty straightforward. And again, I hope you're all having a great Halloween, probably at this present moment when I'm filming this, but by the time this comes out, I hope you're all looking forward to Christmas. It's not that far away. So next, for the glittery boots, I'm going to use some glitter. I'm going to use this fancy Midnight Sky, which is almost a purpley blacky colour. And I think it will just give us a bit of sparkle in there as well. I don't want too much sparkle, but I do want a little bit. And then it's going to be whether I can get these done in time. And the reason I'm using a fast cure is I want this to cure in quite quickly. So hopefully within 2.5 hours, this will have cured and I can go in with the back layer. Next, I'm going to do the gold for the mittens. And I'm just going to use this sunflower gold, again from Laura's Art Corner. And I've got so many different colour combinations that I want to try with these. But this is just the first time I've used this mould, so I want to be a little bit careful. And I want to make sure that my plan works, because again, these are such quality molds. I don't think there's much I could do to make it go wrong, But if anybody could find a way to make it go wrong, it's me. So next is going to be the red, which I think we're going to need quite a bit of. And I'm going to use the Candy Apple Blossom Red because for me, it's a real rich, vibrant, metallic, Christmassy red. And then for the white, again, I want to be a little bit different. So I'm just going to swap my scoop because I don't want any traces of that going in. And I'm going to do a little bit of white, but I'm going to mix in some Magnolia Shimmer. And then I've also got some Baby's Breath powder as well, just to give it a sort of pearlescent look. Again, 1 scoop of each should be more than enough. That's cool. A little bit too much there. So that's that one. And I think it will just give us a more pearlescent white, which I think will look really cool in these beards. But again, I'm not going to need a lot of resin for this first layer. There we go. And that is pretty much my colours ready. Now I just need to mix them. I'm going to speed it up so you haven't got to watch me stirring up 5 different colours. Then we're going to get to the pouring stage. All right, there we go. Colours mixed. So now I've got a brand new dotting tool. Look at how clean that is. And I'm going to just use that to put in a tiny drop of the resin in each of these noses. So I'm going to start off with this one. And actually, let's see if I can just pour 1 drop. Now, this is going to be a big challenge for me. And get it in each of these noses. Just want 1 drop, maybe 2. Because if it does dome slightly, it's not going to matter. But I don't want any more than, I think, look at this, 2 drops, I think, should be enough. And this is why I'm glad I've got a drip mold ready as well. Because I don't want to waste any of these beautiful colours. And I'm happy with the colour of this pink. I think it'll be perfect for these little gnome noses. And as you can see, I'm just literally trying to get 2 drops in each one without going over that edge. I don't want to go over the rim itself because I'm hoping that, if I do this the right way, will create a bit of an outline for us as well. Come on, 1 drop. There we go. So each nose has now had 2 drops of that resin. Now I'm just going to use my dotting tool, probably use the smallest bit and slightly move it around up to that edge on the mold without actually touching it, the mold is. So I don't want to scratch it, but I do want to move the resin around and hopefully just give it that nice thin layer all the way up to the edge, and hopefully that will create the little gnome noses. Again, I'm going to speed this up so you haven't got to stay watching, but it is going to take some time, and for me, I'm having to be quite delicate, which is a bit strange. I normally throw everything in artists, but for these molds, they're so special, I wanted to make special attempts to be a little bit different and to highlight the beauty of the molds themselves as well. So there we go. 1 done, 6 to go. And what I will say, guys, is I'm all for people buying Temu molds, things like that, to save themselves some money, to get themselves into the hobby, to learn techniques, make sure that it's a hobby that they're into, but you will want to upgrade at some point to better quality molds. And for me, ever since I saw people using these MoldsAndShapes molds, I wanted to try some. So I finally saved up some money and I placed an order. And I've ordered, I think, 4 or 5 different molds that I'm going to be testing with different effects over the next few weeks. And I can just tell looking at them, they are far superior quality than anything you might find on Temu. And I think if you want to sell your pieces as well, great way to differentiate yourself from the rest of the market out there and try and get some reasonable prices for your resin work is by getting some quality molds, because not everybody will have these molds. They might have similar ones, but I think the quality will really shine through. And especially if you're doing something like this, where you're taking your kit, a bit of time, a bit of care and attention as well to create them, I think it goes a long way. And you can tell that they're homemade then. So I've just got 2 more of these to spread. And I'm hoping that with this being a fast cure, once I've filled them all in the colours that I want, 2.5 hours, it should be cured enough for me to pour a back layer. I'm going to do that in the fast cure as well. So then within 5 hours, these should be ready to completely demold and we'll be able to see what they look like. But again, just take care that you're going all the way up to the edge. It will try and pull itself back in centrally anyway, because resin does that when it moves. But you just want to make sure that you're going up to each and every edge so that hopefully we get some crisp lines on these. And now I'm just looking at these ones as well, and maybe just adding a tiny little droplet more to create almost a little doming effect, but just to make sure that I've got enough in each of these. And I've got to be a little bit quick because I have only got a 2.5 hour working time with this resin, with it being a fast cure. But again, I just want to make sure that there's definitely enough in each of these, so it's not going to pull in, and it's going to leave that beautiful pink layer for the nose. And as you can see, it's a very delicate process, which I'm not used to. But I just thought it'd be something different, what you're not used to seeing from me, to show off, hopefully, the beauty of these molds. Here we go. And don't forget, I've not got a discount code for you yet, but just pop over to MoldsAndShapes website, have a look. They have some truly amazing molds. There's 2 of them that run it. They ship worldwide, and they are fantastic. So there we go, that's the noses done. Now, as I say, I need to get a move on, otherwise this resin will start curing. So that's that. Let's do the booties next, which again, I've got this glittery mixture. And again, if this doesn't completely cover it, I'm okay with that. I just want a couple of elements of this glitter in there. Oh, and literally 1 drop is gonna be enough, looking at this per boot. Because when I pour this, the back, I'm planning to do quite a dark black glittery back anyway. So hopefully that will shine through the back. And again, this is really difficult, just getting that 1 drop in there for me. But hopefully with that little ridge, it will spread itself out naturally anyway. And it doesn't matter if I slightly dome this either. I just want to try and make sure that I'm not going over that ridge wherever possible. Probably could have mixed a little bit more glitter in this as well, but I think it will give us enough for a bit of a sparkle, which is all I want. I don't want it too sparkly. I just want a little bit of shimmer in these booties. And don't forget, this is just the first step. There is going to be a second step, which is going to be hopefully going to add to this overall effect as well. And again, just trying to be delicate. Again, I'm going to speed up this process so you don't have to keep watching as I'm doing each and every step. So that's that black glitter. And again, just going to use my dotting tool, pull it around the shape naturally in that mold, making sure it's going all the way around into those edges, but not going over these edges is the important part. And I might have a bit too much in this bit, so I might have to have a look at that in a second, but it is difficult to pour such tiny amounts, guys. So I'm hoping it'll still work. As you can see, some of them I've gone for slightly bigger droplets than others, and they've pretty much done the job themselves. All I'm doing here is just helping push it along, and it will self-level out as resin always does. But again, it's almost like colouring between the lines at this point, if you remember doing that as a kid. And as long as you can try and colour between the lines, you can do this. There we go, that's almost the last one. But literally that was just 1 drop, is all it took. So there's that, and I'm pretty happy with that. There's some bits that have probably got more glitter in than others, but do you know what? I think that'll actually help the overall effect. This bit, if I can, I'm gonna take a little bit out. I think it's a little bit too heavy. Apologies if you can hear a car alarm in the background. It's not mine. So again, if you overfill, don't be afraid to take a little bit out, because I do want these lines to hopefully remain visible. And that's the thing, it's making sure they're full and they're filling in the area that you want, but I want these lines to mainly stay visible, and you'll see why in the second stage. But for me, this is as delicate as I think I've ever been with resin. I'm just gonna get a cotton bud, take a little bit out, clean that line up so I know that I can still visibly see it, and along there as well. And any others where I think it's just going over the line like there, and just use that cotton bud, take some of the excess out, and just take your time within reason, because you've still got to remember you're working with a fast cure resin, so your time is limited. But as I say, I want most of these lines to remain visible. If it costs me a few of these, so be it, they cost pennies. And it's mainly the ones where I've had a bigger dot of in where it's gone over that line. I just want to clean up. So I think if it stays on that line, we won't get the full effect that I'm looking for. Again, just taking my time, reinforcing the natural line of that mold on these. And as I say, it's going to cost me a few cotton buds, but hopefully it will give me the effect that I was originally hoping for. And then this one is actually very strange for me being this delicate. And you don't have to, there's lots of other things I could have done with these, but this is what I went for. So pretty happy with that, cleaned up, it's within the lines. Next we're going to do the gold. I'm just going to give these all another mix as well. Try and make sure we don't get any flash curing. So the gold is going to be in these gloves. And again, I think it's just going to take a drop. Literally, guys. In fact, here we go. 1 drop, I think, maybe 2. Ooh, that was nearly a little bit quick. I just want 2 drops, same as we did with the nose per glove. So I'm going to speed it up. No! It was all going so well. Never mind, I can clean that up in a second. Just watch the speed at which your resin's coming out. That will affect your drops. Oh, that one's done the same. Never mind, we can fix it. Now it's going into lines, which I don't want. Oh, this is why I don't do neat, intricate pours, guys. Still, it's going to cost me a few more cotton buds, but we will sort it. And let me know what you think as well. What you think these are going to turn out like. Is it worth all of this effort, or should I just have done a different technique? I mean, you can do all sorts. You can brush micas on them. You can do whatever you want, really. This is just the idea that I came up with in my head because I knew you wouldn't expect it from me. Try and use some of this and get that off. If you need to use some alcohol as well, by all means use some alcohol at this point, because I don't want this on here and I don't want it to ruin the overall effect. So just using some cotton buds. No alcohol at this point, but you can always use a little bit if you need to when you're doing this. So now let's try and maneuver it around and see what we've got at this point. And then there's only one bit that I think I'm going to have to actually clean up now they've self-leveled. Again, just moving it around. Going to speed it up all the way to the edges. That's his mittens and his booties done, hopefully, as well as his nose. And hopefully these bigger areas won't be as finicky as these. And there's probably a bit much in this bit, but it is what it is now. And I can see the resin is starting to thicken up already. And it's because we've used that fast cure, which means I've got a limited time to try and finish these. Probably about another 5 minutes with a bit of luck. All right, now to try and clean up that side as well. Touch wood, I think there's only one that needs cleaning up really, which is here at the side. So again, just gonna get the rest of that gold out. If there's a tiny bit in there, I don't think it'll matter that much. And then I'm gonna take a bit out because there's a lot in that one. Happy that's most of that one. And now I'm just looking around. Maybe that one could do with a little bit taking out. Again, I just wanna make sure that they're reasonably even and that they're all going all the way up to the edge of these lines, so that we get some nice crisp lines, hopefully. And I'm pretty happy with the exception of that and one. There we go. So that's those. And then I've just spotted a tiny bit of resin on the edge here. I'm just going to clean it off like that. There we go. So I'm happy with that, with the exception of this here. There we go. That's come off. And then again, just using my tool, silicone tool again, so I'm not scratching anything. Just to get off any of these little bits that I can see from where we have that slight overpour. There we go. I can still see a tiny bit. Come on, off. Where's your tape when you need it? There we go. It's as good as it's getting because I need to get a move on because this resin's really starting to push on now. Now for this, I think we're going to need at least four drops per hat, let's say. So again, this is going to be the bit. Right, let's see what happens with that amount. So again, just using the tool, I'll speed it up so you've not got to watch. But I do want to make sure, especially around this edge, it's going all the way around into that tip as well. And for me, you can't get a more festive red than this candy apple blossom red. Absolutely beautiful colour. Again, just going into that tip, hopefully making sure there's enough resin around the whole of this point, because again, that's where the ribbon or rope is going to go in as well. All the way in like that. And that's the bit that probably takes the most care and attention. You'll see, because it's a new mould, there's a bit of static. So again, it's just trying to be careful, avoiding that static where I can. I'm going all the way up to the edges, but I can feel this starting to want to cure up. So again, I'm just hoping I've timed it right. It's getting a little bit thick. And I don't want to put any heat on these moulds either, because you risk ruining them. And when you're paying a lot of money for them, the last thing you want to do is ruin them. Trying to do it a bit quicker now, speeding the process up. Still trying to keep it in those lines though, where possible, just to get that thin layer all the way up to the edges. In fact, I'm going to add a tiny drop more, oops, just to help it glide these edges. Yeah, I've been a little bit stingy with the red, but better too little than too much, I think, at this point. 2 done. And I'm just checking this as well. We're still okay. It's not solidified completely yet, so As I say, it's a time-consuming process, but hopefully, as long as I can get it roughly there, we'll be okay and it will work. But I am trying to speed up a little bit because at the minute I am a bit worried about my timings and that the resin is a fast cure. Maybe thinking about it logically next time, I'll do this with a standard curing resin rather than a fast cure. Just give me more time. I didn't realise how much time it would take to do it this way. Hopefully it'll be pay off in the end. Wow, it's getting really hot now, this resin. And as you can see, it's trying to cure. I think I've timed it slightly wrong, but we'll find out. I'm not going to give up on it just yet. But yeah, you can see it's getting really tacky now, this resin. I'm just wondering if to try and save it, it's worth me trying to separate it again. In fact, I'm gonna, just because it really is trying to set up now. And if I just separate it, it might cool it down just enough to give me a bit more working time out of it. But look at it, it's pretty much curing now. That's almost a solid blob now. So again, not too hopeful, but we'll see. And the white is curing, look at that. So I'm gonna remove the blob white. And I think it's because I've also added stuff to this. So whenever you add stuff to resin, it slightly reduces the working time as well. But I'm still going to persist because if I can get away with it and not mix up some more resin, I want to. But it is gel now, it's less like resin. So we may have difficulties, guys. And in fact, just going to try. Yeah, that's good. I need to mix up some more of this candy apple red. But what I'm going to scrape what's left in these cups into my drip mold at the sides. I'll see you in a second. So just going to mix up a little bit more of this candy apple red directly into some resin. Stir it around for a couple of minutes and then hopefully we'll be okay to continue. Even if the layer underneath is already curing. But again, just stirring it around, making sure that resin's mixed, but also mixing that candy apple red directly into it. And we should be okay to continue. Scrape your sides, scrape your bottom, and off we go. So, might be worth noting that if you're trying this technique as well, if you're using a fast cure resin, you've only got 20 minutes, guys, usually. So, just be cautious of that, because you will run out of time. And once it starts going solid, it's very difficult to maneuver. So I think we've got 3 of them done so far. Just going to add a bit more around the edge of this one. And hopefully it shouldn't impact it too much anyway, because we are going to be filling the backs of these anyway. But I just want to make sure that I've got enough to go, hopefully, around these final 3 as well. Get it a bit close to the edge if I can with the stick. And then I'm going to maneuver it with that dotting tool. But as I say, I just want to make sure that there's enough in each of these. Oops, I didn't want that to happen, but luckily it actually pulled back inwards. That's very rare that the resin's on your side. So here we go. And I'm just going to take another drop actually in this top bit because I'm not confident that that is full in this one. I'm just doing this, making sure that that's gone around the edge, which it has. And then another drop. And just work our way all the way up to the edge of these final 3. So I'll speed that up and then we'll remix the white and do the same with that. Just as a great example though, not everything will go right when you work with resin, guys. Don't panic, there's always usually a workaround. And it's just a case of thinking about what you need to do to get the effect that you need and to hopefully fix your problem. And literally know your timings for your resins and try and work within them. Something I didn't do too effectively on this make, but hopefully we'll still get the overall piece. And the hardest bit for me is this tip. It's just getting a little drop in there and bringing it around the edge of both sides so it's gone all the way into the tip. And you can see that the layer from before is almost solidified now, which again, making it a little bit more difficult to spread. But that's what happens when you use a fast cure. You want it to cure fast, you can't complain when you run out of time. And as I say, there's no major dramas with this project. We're still going to get the result we're after. All we have to do is mix up a tiny bit more resin. There we go, pretty happy with that for the candy apple red with the little hats. So now I'm just going to mix up some of the white again, doing exactly the same as we did before, and then we'll come back and put the beards in. That's what happens when your resin cures up too quickly. Beautiful. So there we go, that's that white remixed up and ready to go. Look at it, beautiful. And just whilst everyone's here as well, massive thank you to everyone that supported the channel as well. Anyone that's a member, anyone that's subscribed, we've just gone over that 10,000 mark, which is amazing. And if you haven't already and you like the content, click subscribe. It's free to do and it helps us all keep growing. But massive thank you to everyone that's already supported the channel so far. Look at this, beautiful. So let's finish this white. Then we're going to leave it for 2.5 hours to cure. Although it might even be quicker than that based on our most recent experience. There we go, just getting that drop off that line there. And there's a little tiny bit there as well. Just because if I can keep things separate, I want to. Here we go. So now we're going to go in with the white. And I think this is probably the one that's going to take up the most amount. So I'm going to go with 3 or 4 drops per beard, I think. Something like that. And then I can always add more if I need to. But again, it's just being careful at the pouring stage and hopefully putting enough in there so that it can create that layer for the beard. And don't forget, if you're liking it, give it a thumbs up, give it a share, give it a hype. There's the new hype button you can play with. And let me know in comments what you think is going to happen. Think it's a good idea. Would you have done something completely differently? Would you like to see me do something completely differently with this particular mold? If so, let me know what it is and I'll try my best to make it happen. Here we go. So I'm going to start with that amount and then I'm going to work my way around. And again, apologies if you've overheard any coughing. I'm going to try and get it out in the editing. Unfortunately, I've come down with some sort of flu bug returning from my holiday or vacation from Turkey. Maybe it's the sudden difference in temperature back to the UK wet and windiness. But again, just all it is working it in. It's gone into those grooves for the mold. And the mold, this particular mold, it does most of the work for you because the outline's there. And it's what you choose to do with that outline that makes these gnomes unique to you. And this was just, as I say, as soon as I got the mold, first thing that went through my head was to try and almost just fill these in with these different colours and then give it an overall backing colour. But again, I've already got a few different ideas based on this experiment of how else I can use this mould now. So that's the beauty of it. The more you work with a mould, the more you get different ideas, the more likely it is that you'll come out with at least one that you really like, and hopefully a few. But when you get in a quality mould like this, you want to be able to show off the quality of the mould, and that's why I thought for me, this was just a great way to do it, to show that intricacy that's in there with these outlines. Hopefully they're going to really pop, and with these different colours filling in each of these spaces, hopefully the whole thing's going to pop. I'm just concentrating on these edges first, manoeuvring the resin round, and then it's about filling it in. Actually, I think I've judged this about right for the beard. We will see. So again, just going to fast forward it so you haven't got to watch me do it for all 6, and then we'll have a look at what they look like and get on to the next stage. Right, now I'm just going to look around. Now I've had time to settle these first few ones, and you can see there's now a little patch, which meant to me that there wasn't perhaps enough in there to fully cover it. So I'm just going to go over any patchy parts, and then hopefully we'll be about there to just leave it to cure for the next few hours and then see what happens. And once this is cured, all we need to do is put that back on, and hopefully we'll be left with some really cool little Christmas gnomes for Christmas. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what they look like after all this work. But as always, in resin, it's often the things that take us the most time that give us the best effects. And there's probably a much quicker way to do this. It was just something that I thought would look really cool for my first play with this mold from MoldsAndShapes. I think this one's got plenty in, actually. Oh. And again, I'm not going to be using any heat on this whatsoever. I just don't want to risk damaging such a quality mold and not being able to use it again. You often see me use my torch and alcohol a lot with molds from places like Temu or Amazon because they don't cost a lot of money, and if I ruin them, I can replace them pretty easily. Now, these are a little bit more expensive with them being a better quality mold, and I wouldn't be able to find that kind of money again as quickly. So again, it's just be careful with your molds, guys, especially if you're paying for quality molds. There we go, but I'm pretty confident now that these have the resin pretty much where I want. So I'm going to let them cure up over the next 2.5 hours. Going to come back and then we're going to fill them in. So I'll see you guys in a couple of hours. Right, here we go, guys. It is the next morning. I'm excited to demold these, and you'll have to still excuse the voice. I know it's still a little bit croaky, but here we go. These should definitely have cured because I've left them overnight. And now we get to see, hopefully, what they look like. Haha, look at that. That has worked perfect. So that's one. Now they should all look pretty similar, hopefully. Let's have a look. Sorry about that, just coughing my guts up in the background. So there we go. So number 2, if you look, I missed a bit of his beard just there. Still looks pretty cool though. Maybe he's gone to the hairdressers and had a little accident. So that's 2. And again, the rest of these should hopefully look similar. But let me know what you think. I think they've worked out really cool. Now, if I'm to do them again, I'll probably do the boots a different colour to the background. Maybe in a blue, maybe a green, something like that. But just imagine having these hanging on your Christmas tree. I think they're going to look amazing, and they're unique, you know. Nobody else has got them. I think that red turned out beautiful in the hat. So all I need to do now is just tie a piece of string through there, and they can hang on your tree. And we've got 6 little gnomes ready to celebrate Christmas on that Christmas tree. So I think it's a great, fun little mould from MoldsAndShapes. First one I've tried, and you know what? It's good quality. I'm really happy with the mould itself. And I'm happy with how these gnomes have turned out. So let me know what you think in comments. As always, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hi ho, it's off to work we go.